Have you ever wondered which everyday habits could be quietly shaving years off your life? Shockingly, studies show that social isolation alone increases mortality risk by nearly 30%, and about 9% of Americans over 65 still smoke daily, despite clear evidence it cuts years from their lifespan. These are just two pieces of a much bigger puzzle, and the surprising truth is that many older people unknowingly stick to routines that dramatically shorten their lives. In this video, we'll reveal the 9 life-shortening habits older people ignore daily, so stay tuned to find out what they are. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from today? Now let's get started. Number 1, smoking tobacco. You might assume that if you've been smoking since your 20s, quitting now won't make a difference. However, smoking, even into your 60s, 70s, or beyond, continues to damage your body every single day. Cigarette smoke delivers more than 7,000 chemicals into your lungs. About 70 of those are known carcinogens. Those toxins harm lung tissue, promote arterial plaque, and weaken immune cells. For people over age 65, smoking causes roughly 25% of cardiovascular deaths, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. Even if you've smoked for decades, quitting still pays off quickly. Within 24 hours, your carbon monoxide levels normalize, and within a year, your heart attack risk drops by nearly 50% compared to those who keep smoking. Yet about 9% of Americans over 65 still light up daily. Lung cancer risk remains elevated for former smokers, but it falls by about 50% 10 years after quitting. Beyond your lungs, smoking accelerates arterial stiffening, which raises blood pressure and increases stroke risk. It also shortens telomeres, protective caps on chromosomes, directly speeding up cellular aging. Cognitive decline becomes more likely as nicotine and other chemicals boost oxidative stress in the brain. Seniors who smoke have about a 52% higher risk of dementia than non-smokers, according to research in neurology. Smoking also worsens bone health. Older smokers experience fractures at a rate 1.5 times higher than non-smokers because toxins interfere with calcium absorption. Despite these facts, many seniors think it's too late or that cutting back to just a few cigarettes is harmless. But each cigarette delivers roughly 10 milligrams of nicotine and a cocktail of heavy metals and fine particulates into your bloodstream. That sustains chronic inflammation, impairs wound healing, and slows recovery from infections. Postoperative complications are up to 70% more likely in smokers than in peers who quit. So even if you've smoked for 50 years, quitting today still helps you live longer and breathe more easily. Number 2, physical inactivity. It's easy to think that as we age, moving less is just normal, but regular activity is one of the most powerful ways to slow down aging, maintain independence, and extend your healthy years. A large study in The Lancet followed adults over 60 for 10 years and found that those who did at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise weekly lived about 3 to 4 years longer than peers who remained sedentary. Yet 40% of Americans aged 60 to 74, and even more beyond 75, fail to meet that goal. Muscles shrink without use, accelerating sarcopenia. By age 80, inactive seniors can lose up to 50% of their peak muscle mass. That leads to poor balance, and falls become a major threat. Falls cause over 500,000 hospitalizations annually in older adults. Cardiovascular health suffers too. Exercise stimulates blood vessels to produce nitric oxide, keeping arteries flexible. Without it, arterial stiffness rises, contributing to hypertension, which affects about 2/3 of seniors. High blood pressure is the leading modifiable risk factor for heart attacks and strokes, the top killers in this age group. Inactivity also fuels insulin resistance. A meta-analysis in diabetes care showed that inactive seniors had an 80% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes than those walking 30 minutes daily. Diabetes increases the risk of heart disease and accelerates cognitive decline. Diabetic seniors are 65% more likely to develop Alzheimer's. Joint health is another concern. Cartilage relies on movement to circulate nutrients via synovial fluid. If you avoid activity because of joint pain, you actually worsen arthritis over time. Even small steps make a difference. A 20-minute daily walk can reduce all-cause mortality by 30% and cut fracture risk by 45% when paired with twice-weekly strength training. Yet less than 20% of seniors engage in regular resistance exercise. If you're worried about injury, start with gentle stretches or seated leg lifts. Standing up every hour, taking brief strolls around the house, or using light dumbbells can improve balance, strengthen muscles, and keep your heart and bones healthier, keeping you independent longer and lowering chronic disease risk. Number 3, poor sleep hygiene. Getting old means not sleeping well, many assume. While sleep patterns do change with age, poor sleep habits worsen the natural decline in restorative shut-eye and fuel health problems. After 60, deep, slow-wave sleep, which your body uses for cellular repair, diminishes by about 40%. But you can preserve more quality sleep by avoiding late caffeine, setting a consistent bedtime, and creating a dark, cool sleeping space. Chronic sleep disruption increases inflammation. Older adults who average fewer than 6 hours per night have a 20% higher death rate over 10 years, compared to those sleeping 7 to 8 hours, according to the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. During deep sleep, the pituitary gland releases growth hormone, crucial for muscle repair and bone health. Without it, inflammatory markers like interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha stay elevated, contributing to inflammaging. This chronic inflammation underlies atherosclerosis, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Insufficient deep sleep also disrupts insulin and cortisol rhythms. Older adults with fragmented sleep show higher fasting glucose and insulin resistance, roughly doubling their diabetes risk. Your brain relies on sleep to clear toxic waste via the glymphatic system. Older adults with sleep efficiency below 75% perform 30% worse on memory tests and are 1.7 times more likely to develop dementia over 5 years. Yet many seniors nap excessively during the day, which fragments nighttime sleep. Drinking alcohol before bed also disrupts REM cycles, leading to early awakenings. Blue light from tablets or TVs within 2 hours of bedtime suppresses melatonin by up to 50%, delaying sleep onset and reducing total sleep time. To improve sleep, dim lights after dusk, avoid heavy meals within 2 hours of bed, and eliminate caffeine after 2 p.m. Maintain a consistent wake-up time, even on weekends. If you still struggle, talking to a sleep specialist about mild melatonin supplementation can help reset your circadian rhythm. Better sleep lowers inflammation, stabilizes blood sugar, and sharpens memory, helping you stay healthier and more alert in your later years. Number 4, chronic stress and anxiety. Stress doesn't just make you feel frazzled, it shortens your lifespan. As you retire and face changes like reduced income, health declines, or losing friends and family, chronic stress and anxiety can keep your body's fight or flight system stuck in overdrive. That means elevated cortisol day after day, which gradually weakens your heart, brain, and immune system. A study in psychoneuroendocrinology found seniors with high persistent perceived stress had a 35% higher risk of heart attacks or strokes than low-stress peers. When cortisol stays high, it promotes insulin resistance and belly fat and feeds inflammation. In older adults, higher cortisol levels correlate with a 40% faster rate of hippocampal shrinkage, the brain area crucial for memory. That raises dementia risk. Chronic stress also hastens telomere shortening. Telomeres protect chromosome ends, and shorter telomeres are linked to earlier death and higher rates of cardiovascular disease and certain cancers. One study in molecular psychiatry reported that stressed older adults had telomeres around 10% shorter than those with less stress. Long-term stress raises blood pressure too. Seniors under chronic stress often have systolic readings 8 to 12 mmHg higher, boosting their 5-year heart attack risk by about 25%. Inflammation markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6 surge under stress, destabilizing arterial plaques and making heart attacks and strokes more likely. Stress also undermines immunity by reducing natural killer cell activity, so seniors under stress are 30% more likely to catch the flu or other infections and take longer to recover. Emotionally, ongoing anxiety doubles the risk of depression in seniors. According to the National Poll on Healthy Aging, 42% of isolated, stressed older adults meet criteria for depressive symptoms. Depression in seniors raises their risk of death after a heart attack by 50% and worsens outcomes in chronic conditions like diabetes. You may feel stress is inevitable, but mind-body practices can make a big difference. In one study, seniors who practiced mindfulness meditation for 8 weeks saw a 20% drop in resting cortisol and a 30% reduction in CRP levels. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can cut anxiety symptoms by 50 to 60%, improving both mental and physical health. Ignoring stress and anxiety speeds up aging, weakens your defenses, and heightens your chance of chronic diseases that shorten life. Number 5, poor nutrition and excessive processed foods. As metabolism slows with age, eating the same amount of junk food or sugary snacks you used to leads to trouble. Older adults need nutrient-dense meals more than ever, yet many rely on processed foods high in added sugars, trans fats, sodium, and empty calories. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found seniors consuming over 50 grams of added sugar daily, about 12 teaspoons, faced a 30% higher death risk compared to those keeping added sugars under 10% of calories. Trans fats, found in many snacks and baked goods, raise bad LDL cholesterol and promote heart disease. Just a 2% increase in trans fat calories corresponds to a 23% higher risk of coronary heart disease in older adults. High sodium intake is another issue. The average American over 60 consumes about 3,400 milligrams of salt daily, double the 1,500 milligrams maximum recommended for seniors. Excess sodium raises systolic blood pressure by 5 to 10 mmHg in salt-sensitive elders, elevating stroke risk by nearly 30%. Processed foods also lack key nutrients. About 60% of seniors don't meet recommended vitamin D levels, which is vital for bone strength and immune function. Rates of vitamin B12 deficiency approach 20%, causing anemia, neuropathy, and cognitive issues. Low B12 also elevates homocysteine, increasing vascular disease risk. Refined carbs and sugar feed harmful gut bacteria, promoting obesity and insulin resistance. Overweight seniors have nearly a 25% prevalence of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can progress to cirrhosis, slashing life expectancy. Processed foods often contain advanced glycation end products, AGs, formed during high-temperature cooking. AGs stiffen collagen, impair blood vessel flexibility, and harm neurons. Diets high in AGs accelerate biological aging by about 2 years per decade when compared to low-age diets. Fiber is also often missing. Many older adults eat under 15 grams of fiber daily, far below the 28 grams recommended for women and 34 grams for men. Low fiber slows digestion, leading to constipation and higher colorectal cancer risk. Each 10-gram increase in daily fiber cuts colorectal cancer risk by around 10%. When seniors fill their plates with sugary drinks, chips, and ready-to-eat meals, they undermine heart, liver, and brain health simultaneously. Switching to vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, whole grains, and legumes can reduce mortality by up to 25% and curb diabetes, hypertension, and cognitive decline. Yet many older adults stick with familiar but unhealthy choices, trading years of healthy living for convenience and comfort. Number 6, sedentary behavior beyond structured exercise. You might be diligent about your morning walk or weekly exercise class, but what you do the rest of the day matters just as much. Prolonged sitting, anything under 1.5 METs, metabolic equivalents, carries its own risks, even if you meet exercise guidelines. A study in the European Heart Journal followed adults over 70 and found that each extra 2 hours of daily sitting boosted cardiovascular mortality by 22%, even when controlling for regular exercise. In plain terms, a senior who sits 10 hours a day faces nearly double the heart risk of someone sitting 6 hours, despite both walking 30 minutes daily. When muscles remain inactive, blood flow slows, reducing nitric oxide production in arteries and raising blood pressure. This promotes atherosclerosis over months and years. Inactivity also accelerates muscle loss. Seniors sitting more than 9 hours daily lose muscle strength at nearly twice the rate of those sitting less than 6 hours. Sarcopenia impairs balance and mobility, leading to higher fall rates. Also, less muscle mass lowers resting metabolic rate, making it easy to gain fat, especially around the abdomen. Visceral fat releases inflammatory substances like leptin and resistin, worsening insulin resistance and fueling chronic inflammation. Bone health suffers too. Lack of weight-bearing movements means fewer signals to osteoblasts that build bone. Seniors sitting more than 8 hours a day have a 30% higher rate of osteoporosis and fractures. Hip fractures carry a 1-year mortality of up to 20% in older adults. Cognitive health can decline as well. A study in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease showed that seniors sitting over 8 hours daily scored 15 to 20% lower on memory and executive tests than those sitting under 6 hours. Breaking up sitting time with brief activities, standing, walking for 2 to 3 minutes every hour helps. Even tapping your feet or doing seated leg lifts can activate muscles enough to boost circulation and metabolism. If you watch TV, try standing during commercials. Use a standing desk for mail or a lightweight walker if you're indoors. Each small movement adds up, reducing your risk of heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, and cognitive decline, protecting years off your life even if you already exercise regularly. Number 7, skipping preventive medical screenings. Feeling healthy often leads seniors to skip routine checkups. Why fix what's not broken? However, many serious conditions develop silently, and early detection is key. For instance, colorectal cancer is common in adults over 60. Regular colonoscopies can cut mortality by up to 60% if done every 10 years after 50. Yet the CDC reports that 30% of Americans aged 65-75 aren't up to date on colon cancer screening. Without screening, polyps can grow into cancer before any symptoms appear. Infectious diseases can be particularly dangerous for older immune systems. Annual flu shots reduce hospitalization by 57% and mortality by 80% in those over 65, yet only about 60% receive the vaccine, far below the 90% target. Pneumococcal vaccines are similarly essential but underutilized. Unvaccinated seniors have up to a 4-fold higher risk of invasive pneumococcal disease. Bone density scans, DEXA, identify osteoporosis before fractures happen. Hip fractures in older adults have up to a 20% 1-year mortality rate, but around half of women over 65 have never had a DEXA scan. Early treatment with bisphosphonates can reduce fracture risk by 40% in those with low bone density. Missing these screenings means fractures often occur without warning. Cardiovascular screenings are equally vital. Ankle brachial index tests can catch peripheral arterial disease, a warning sign for coronary artery issues. Seniors with peripheral artery disease have 2 to 3 times higher risk of heart attacks and strokes. Yet many avoid stress tests or vascular exams, dismissing mild chest discomfort as just getting old. Vision and hearing exams often slip through the cracks. Age-related macular degeneration and glaucoma progress without pain. Early intervention can slow vision loss. Untreated hearing loss affects 30% of those over 70 and doubles dementia risk over 15 years. Still, many seniors skip audiology appointments, missing the chance to slow cognitive decline. Routine blood work, checking hemoglobin A1C, kidney function and cholesterol prevents complications. About 40% of high-risk seniors skip kidney function tests. Early chronic kidney disease often has no symptoms, yet timely action can prevent progression. In total, adhering to preventive guidelines can add 2 to 3 years of life and healthier years to your timeline. Skipping these appointments is like ignoring a warning light on your car. By the time you notice a problem, it's often much harder to fix. Number 9, social isolation and loneliness. Keep busy and you'll be fine, many believe, but social connection directly impacts how long and well you live. Social isolation, having few social contacts, and the feeling of loneliness each shorten lifespan significantly. In a meta-analysis of 70 studies involving over 3.4 million people, researchers found social isolation raised mortality risk by 29% and loneliness by 26%, comparable to obesity or smoking. Around 28% of adults over 65 live alone in the US, and 43% of those living alone report feeling lonely regularly. Chronic loneliness elevates blood pressure. Isolated seniors often have systolic readings 5 to 10 millones HD higher than socially engaged peers, raising stroke risk by roughly 25%. Inflammation markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6 surge in lonely individuals, fueling heart disease and cognitive decline. Cognitive stimulation comes partly from conversation and social activities. Without these, mental exercise dwindles. A study in the American Journal of Public Health showed that seniors volunteering or participating in community groups once a week had a 20% lower risk of cognitive decline than those with minimal social contact. Mental health also suffers. Socially isolated seniors are 50% more likely to experience depression and anxiety. Depression increases mortality risk after a heart attack by 50% and worsens chronic conditions like diabetes. Physical health is compromised because isolated individuals are less likely to adhere to medication schedules, see doctors regularly, or maintain healthy diets. A study in Women's Health Initiative found isolated women over 60 had a 53% higher risk of type 2 diabetes and a 42% higher risk of hypertension versus those with strong social networks. Loneliness also drives unhealthy habits, excessive alcohol use, smoking or overeating, each independently shortening life. Programs that connect seniors, like telephone check-ins or community groups, reduce loneliness by up to 45% and cut depressive symptoms by 30% within 3 months. Despite this, 70% of eligible older adults don't participate. Active steps like joining a local senior centre, volunteering, attending faith-based groups, or simply calling friends daily can save years of healthy life. You don't have to rearrange your entire life. Making one meaningful connection a week can significantly boost your well-being and longevity. Number 9, excessive alcohol consumption. A glass of wine with dinner can feel like a harmless ritual, but drinking too much alcohol in your 70s and beyond carries special risks. As you age, your liver's ability to process alcohol drops by about 30% between ages 50 and 80. That means the same drink leads to higher blood alcohol concentration, BAC, and lingers in your system longer. Older adults can have BAC levels 20% higher than younger people after drinking the same amount, intensifying alcohol's harmful effects. The Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors consuming more than 7 drinks a week had a 40% higher risk of falls and fractures than those drinking 1 to 6 drinks weekly. Alcohol impairs balance and judgment, increasing fall-related injury risk. Drivers over 70 with a BAC of 0.05–0.07% have a 50% higher fatal crash rate per mile driven compared to younger drivers in the same BAC range. Heavy drinking also speeds up liver damage. While younger adults might develop cirrhosis after 10-15 years of heavy drinking, older livers can reach cirrhosis in just 5 to 7 years. Once cirrhosis becomes decompensated, 5-year survival often falls below 50%. Alcohol worsens hypertension, already affecting 65% of those over 60. Older women drinking more than 3 drinks daily have systolic pressures 7 mmHg higher than non-drinkers, upping stroke risk by about 25%. Alcohol also messes with nutrients. It blocks absorption of folate and vitamin B12, vital for brain and blood health. Folate deficiency in seniors links to a 50% higher risk of depression and memory loss. B12 deficiency causes anemia and nerve damage, raising vascular disease risk. Over 80% of seniors take prescription meds, and alcohol can dangerously interact with them. For example, mixing alcohol with benzodiazepines or painkillers raises pneumonia risk by 60%. Paired with blood thinners like warfarin, alcohol increases bleeding risk by altering liver-based clotting factor metabolism. Sleep quality also suffers. Alcohol reduces deep restorative sleep and worsens sleep apnea episodes, leading to daytime fatigue and accelerating cognitive decline. About 20% of older adults meet criteria for alcohol use disorder, AUD, but only 10% seek help. AUD in seniors doubles emergency department visits for injuries and raises risk of depression by 50%. While some suggest that light drinking may have minor heart benefits, randomized trials have not confirmed this in older populations. A safer guideline is no more than 1 small drink per day for women, none to 1 for men, and at least 2 alcohol-free days weekly. Ignoring these guidelines turns a social habit into a life-shortening risk. Excessive alcohol heightens fall, stroke, liver disease, cognitive impairment, and medication-related complications, shaving years off both lifespan and quality of life. Reducing intake, even after decades of drinking, helps you stay steadier on your feet, think more clearly, and live more years without serious health setbacks. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new, give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more practical health tips, and let us know in the comments which habit surprised you the most. And don't forget to share this with any older loved ones who might need a friendly reminder, because it's never too late to start making healthier choices.